Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. Yes, Connor McDavid clutch once again gets the opening goal for Canada in a decisive, for the most part, win over Finland, punching Canada's ticket to a rematch in the final Thursday night against the United States. Gonna have fun breaking down the game from earlier today and previewing the final matchup. Jason Strudwick ready to rock and roll. Steve Taylor is as well. Rob Brown is on a beach somewhere, but we got a picture. We got a picture you're going to want to see of Brownie on a beach. So stick around, if nothing else, just for that. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. We're coming at you from the Four Nations face-off, sort of. I'm still in Montreal. Tournament's now in Boston, but I should get there tomorrow. Show tonight's brought to you, as always, by our title sponsor, Play Alberta. Why choose Play Alberta? Well, just ask any hockey fan who loves odds boosts and player props and same-game parlays, or slots players who love the massive jackpots, or lottery players who can grab last-minute tickets on the go. Deposit today, get a $50 free bet with the code GYB02. That is code GYB02. Coming at you from the mobile Adrenaline Diesel studio here in Montreal. If you need a part manufactured, replicated, or repaired, Adrenaline Diesel has you covered with their brand new machine shop. Check it out online. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. Good evening, Struddy. As you and I are speaking right now, USA-Sweden is still ongoing. Should have a result by the end of the show, but Canada heading to the final. More importantly, Struds, I had a decision I had to make today, bud. Do you trust the planes or do you go with a vehicle? Continue to play this game of planes, trains, and automobiles. Canceled all my flights, booked a car service. Getting in a car tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock for Boston. I have no idea if it was the right decision, but I got to get there.
You got to be there. The good thing is you have 3 days basically to get there, right? All day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday. So pack a lunch, right? Some extra gloves, wood boots, and then you'll get there. You'll get there for game time for sure.
I have to say I did not bring a big enough coat for this trip, buddy.
Oh boy.
I got this new one. Well, I got this new one from Mr. Dirk, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's gonna be good. But it's more like a spring fall coat. Mm-hmm. And man, the wind and everything, like it has been. Everybody else has been walking around in their giant ones that they all wisely brought from home, and I've been trying to tough it out in this little thing. So some tough clothing decisions, buddy. Some tough clothing decisions, and I feel like I'm just skirting around the edges of getting sick, like just nibbling around the edges of it. Because of that bad decision.
Yeah. Well, you're not the only one. I think everyone I know has been sick recently or is sick currently. Yeah. So it's just grinding. The end of winter is just taking its toll on a lot of people.
Yeah. I hear it's been a little rough back there temperature-wise. I hear it's been...
I don't have a lot of sympathy for your struggles. Took the dog for a walk today, and I looked like Usain Bolt. We were just running, like just going... I think she pooped at one point. I picked it up. Like it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And we've got a couple more days and it's over. And then that's it. Winter's over.
Yeah, Randine doesn't have a lot of sympathy for me either, as she's, scraping off the frozen windshield in the driveway while my golf simulator sits empty in the garage with me out of town for 10 days. So this is where, by the way, through Valentine's Day, this is where the, if there's a downside to that whole thing, we're kind of experiencing it right now, but we're working our way through it. I think we'll be okay. Nothing, some flowers and a nice dinner when I get back won't fix, I'm sure. Right, hon? Yeah. Okay, buddy. We got Canada-Finland earlier today. A little closer than some would have liked in the end, but they get the job done, and they punch their ticket through. And once again, it's Connor McDavid kind of leading the charge in the early going. So let's get to breaking it down, shall we? Brought to you by the Alberta Ram Dealers. A 2025 Ram 1500 is Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. Visit your Alberta Ram dealer to get into this award-winning truck at a competitive price, capable, stylish, powerful. It is Ram. We will talk Canada-USA in the final in just a little bit here. Lots of injuries piling up for the United States, so we'll get to that. But let's start with the game today, Struds. Jordan Binnington gets the call. We weren't sure until just before game time. He gets the call. In he goes. But once again, second game in a row, Connor McDavid finds a way early on to ignite the offense. That's huge from him back to back.
Well, and I don't think we can start that conversation till we get it to the lines. We had Connor with Brain Point and Stone. And Stone is one of the guys that we identified pretty early in this process because he's so smart. He's just a really smart player. Braden Point is as well. And not just those other guys that he was playing with aren't smart, but I think they understand how to play the type of game that Connor wants to play. And so the goal you're talking about, Connor gets it at the blue line. Then he drives down, button hooks. The D-man backs off, which feels safe, but it's the worst thing you could do because now you give the most dangerous player on the planet space. Who's in front of the net? Stone. Who's parked back door, not too far? Point. So they understand, how, like, they're very skilled, but you almost play like a fourth line type of mentality, right? Like drive the net, heavy on pucks, get to the net. So really nice touch by John Cooper identifying that trio because I think we had Crosby with Point and Connor. But it was a really, really smart play by Cooper. But I mean, Connor just found a little space and he created that space with that button hook and bang, goal.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I like the line combination he put together, tweaked it a little bit, right? And maybe with the idea in mind that it's about pairs. Not necessarily about finding the perfect trios, but finding the pairs and allowing Crosby and McKinnon to remain a potential pair, recognizing he had one in Point and McDavid. Braden Point, something's clicked here with Connor McDavid. That's really good news for Canada. Really good news for both those guys. And Point is just the way he plays the game, Struds. He seems to get it, seems to understand what McDavid needs. Cooper pointed out the fact that he doesn't really play a ton of wings, so it'll be a little bit different for him. But it definitely clicked, man. And that spells good things because, they started well early, played well through most of the game. And yes, there was a letdown later in the game. But I think it's a game and a period now where they've been able to start developing some chemistry. You got to feel good about that duo heading into this final game.
Yeah, and really good points made by you. And I think that when you go from center to wing, I believe the challenges, there's no challenge in the offensive zone because everyone's freewheeling, everyone's moving around. The challenges are on the wall in your own zone, right? Because now the puck's coming to you and, the Americans might pinch down, the D-men might pinch down. That's a lot different than getting the puck in the middle of the ice. Then the second thing is coming through the ice. As a center, you generally get it kind of more in the middle of the ice, you're skating, but now you're coming up the wall. One of the, in this case, the right wing. And that's a different feeling as well. So listen, he's a really smart hockey player. He's going to figure it out. And don't forget 97's right there. He's going to be right. He's like, just tap it to me in the middle. I'm right there beside you. Like, don't worry about that. So I love the duo there. And I think Stone, I think he's a really underappreciated hockey IQ player. He's not fast. Like you watch him skate out there. You're not putting that on YouTube. Say, hey kids, skate like this. But everything else he does, stick placement, being in the right place at the right time, supporting his teammates, heavy on pucks. Like he does everything else perfectly. And so, and then what happens after that is that line now is, I feel as good as you can feel about a line going into the final. And then it felt like every line underneath that stacked up properly as well. Or whether McKinnon and McDavid's lines are side by side, whatever, you know what I mean? Every other line seemed to fit right. And I think that's the first time that, I for sure felt that way watching the three games.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So it was Crosby, McKinnon, and Reinhart, and they had some really nice looks today. Nate McKinnon had a heck of a good game. Sam Reinhart, some nice setups. That line was really solid. You talk about the third line, Hagel, Sorelli, and Mitch Marner. Still not a lot from Marner, but it's a workable line. Then Marchand, Bennett, and Konechny. I like that line, Struds. There's some energy to be had there. There's some enthusiasm, a little bit of grit. There's an identity on that line. So to me, maybe the third line is the one that's a little bit of a patchwork job, but the fourth line I really like. So the first, second, and fourth lines, I think, make a lot of sense right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now that third line, I thought Marner was better away from the puck today. He had a moment where he back checked really hard and stripped the guy
Saw
from
that.
behind him, and that's the important thing. And I know that people generally, you know, they want to talk more about the offense that an offensive player can create, and I get that. But in this tournament, everyone's offensive. Everyone's skilled. You look at that
Yeah.
order, that Canadian lineup. Every forward has scored in this league and has scored a lot. Now, some might not have the same point totals as Marner, but you have to be able to backtrack hard. And I honestly think that this tournament will be an amazing learning experience for Mitch Marner. If he kind of goes and debriefs and thinks about it after, and I bet you Craig Berube talks to him about, hey man, what did you take home? What's your take home from
Yeah.
this? Because I think that's the first time I remember in the 3 games seeing him doing something like that, and that's a step in the right direction, not just for Team Canada, but for him as an individual player moving forward.
Some love for Cale Makar here, and rightfully so. Queen Beamy says Makar really made a difference. Bobo Fett chiming in saying different team with Makar. I think we know that. He's the best defenseman on the planet pretty much every night that he plays. So it was a big boost for their lineup. Struds, it's so different in terms of their ability to break the puck out smoothly. They spend less time in their own end. I know it wasn't the same quality of competition, but the difference of them having Makar against the United States, should he be able to go, and we think he will be able to go, that's pretty significant swing for Canada.
Huge change, humongous change, because Devin Tays looked a lot more comfortable today. Makar, he can play 30 minutes and not even flinch on that next game. And then everyone else looked pretty comfortable underneath him too. So everyone just slots in better when he's there. But you can't underestimate what he brings both offensively and defensively. He had a couple block shots today. He was in the right place. And then when you have him out there with either McKinnon or McDavid, that's a whole lot of speed coming up that ice.
Davin predicting that Makar is scoring in the final. So they built themselves out to a real solid 4-0 lead. McDavid and McKinnon, point. McKinnon gets another one on a nice feed from Sidney Crosby out of the corner. 4 goals on 13 shots. Chase the netminder. Real nice offensive output for Team Canada. And then late in the game, it starts to slide a little bit. And why does it start to slide, Struds? It starts to slide because the goalie let in a soft one. That was it was not a great goal to give up. It happens. They had a lead to work with. Shouldn't have been a big deal. Then all of a sudden it starts to get interesting, and a couple more go in. And what did you see from Canada through that sequence?
I think that they sat back. And when you sit back, now all of a sudden, I don't know that it started before that goal, maybe a little bit before the first goal. But after that, they were sitting back, and Finland pulled their goalie, I want to say with 4.5 minutes left, Shoggy somewhere in there. And Barkov, Line, all these guys, they were just teeing up shots. Granlund, who would have thought he would have been the hero for that team, or could have been the hero for that team with 2 goals. And they sat back, and they weren't being offensive enough, going out there and spending time in the offensive zone, and just to kill time and just to break up the rhythm of Finland. So I think that is an experience that they'll have remembered, and they'll grow off of as a team. Because you can't just sit back, especially 4-0. Like, then it's 4-1, you're still okay. So if it's 2-1 going to a third period against the Americans, you can't sit back. You've got to go and play, still be heavy in the offensive zone to wear down. Nothing has to happen there. You don't have to score or even get a shot, but just grind in the offensive zone and throw them out of their loop, because Finland got on a major run there.
For sure they did. Hanging on to leads is a little bit of a thing here for Canada. I mean, basically they've gotten themselves into some measure of trouble in all of their games, unable to hang on to having leads, and that's definitely something that they're going to need to work out. I mean, it was such a baller play from Sidney Crosby. It was so odd. Like, I can only imagine how Team Canada's feeling. Bang bang, back to back, real quick. And now all of a sudden it's within a goal, and there's way too much time left on the clock, and they get to keep pulling their goalie. Like, I just had this feeling, oh my goodness. And by the way, I'd already booked the non-refundable car. So it was like, if this happens, it's a good chunk of change. I'm going to have to explain to our expense team at Bell Media. So I'd already booked that car, and I'm thinking, oh no. But that play from Sidney Crosby was pretty awesome to seal it.
It was, and that's why he's there. He's a calming voice. So he comes across, and I don't know that he meant to really hit him there. I think two guys
Yep.
collided, but he was up before he was even down. Hit him down,
Yep.
up, got the puck, shot it in. Like, you don't lay around on the ice. Oh, it hurts. I'm tangled with this guy. He just got up and kept playing. And that's Sidney
Yeah.
Crosby. That's what he does. He's just there to win. And that is why Sidney Crosby is on that team. Or sorry, that's not why he's on the team. It's one of the many reasons, but he does that. That's why he's out there in that moment, because down and up, shoot it in the net. Okay, good. Okay, guys, good. Is that enough? Is 2-goal lead good with a minute left? Yeah, okay, I think we're good. But
Yeah.
that's how he's
Yeah.
just, and that's what these guys are going to learn. They're going to watch him, and all those guys are going to learn how he does it in those moments. And he was very calm about it. He looks so calm. I don't think his heartbeat even went up. Everyone else's heartbeat is pounding through their chest. Not on 87.
Yeah. So clutch. Okay, we're going to get to our De Boer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll because we do want to get back in on the goaltending here. Interesting decision for them to play Jordan Binnington. So it is brought to you by De Boer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Are you fired up yet for the upcoming golf season? The 2025 gear from TaylorMade Ping and Callaway is arriving at De Boer's. Get ahead of the fitting rush and reschedule your appointments today, located at 5311 99th Street in Edmonton. Now, Steve, hop in here. It's pretty simple, though. We're just putting the question back at people, Struds. And, maybe we should have had the debate before we put the question up here. But bottom line, Steve, it's just who should start.
That's right. Yeah, exact same as yesterday, which is, okay, now what? Who should start next on Thursday in goal for the Oilers? So is it Binnington? Is it Hill? Or we have the resident Canadiens fans in the stream who might say, it's
Montembeau, yeah, the 3% from last game.
Yeah,
now,
right.
This would seem obvious, and I think it's fair to say, thanks, Steve. I think it's fair to say that Binnington is going to get the call. But I just want to put this out there because I think I'm interested to see if people, even though it finished the way it finished with Binnington, if they would still want en masse to stick with them, Struds. I don't think that they have much of a choice, and I think that that's what's going to happen. I just wonder which way that vote will go.
Yeah. So pre-game, John Cooper was asked, and I forget which reporter from asked him. But anyways, and he just said, you know what, he does handle the puck well, right? And that seems like a pretty big thing for him is the puck handling. There's a couple times now we hear him talk about that with him. So I do get it. And now putting Adrian Hill in now would probably be unfair. He hasn't played for a while. Kind of hasn't felt those moments. So I think the difference, though, Shagar, is that Binnington had some good saves in this game. And yes, he let a weak one in towards the end, but I thought he had some pretty good moments in the first, let's call it 2.5 periods. Whereas before it was, a little bit of middle of the game or a little bit earlier where we kind of let ones in. You're like, oof, that one hurts. So I think that I'd be floored if he's not in the net for those two reasons.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, we're not asking who do you think they will start, because I think we all know who they're likely to start. I want to take a poll about who Canadian hockey fans want to see in net, if they, if they would even prefer a change at this point. Because in all 3 games, he's allowed goals that you don't love. In all 3 games, including in a really, really tight game against the United States where the other guy didn't. So I think it'll be Binnington, but I'm just interested for our poll to see if fans still are feeling that confidence or if they feel a little bit more or less. So we'll see if the results are as overwhelming as they were last night. All right, let's get to our UCAN Youth Services Relentless Player. 6 unforgettable nights of laughter and heart at the annual Comedy Nights fundraiser this March. Promise delicious food, great entertainment, and a sense of community, all in support of an incredible event. Every ticket sold helps provide vital mental health support, job training, and mentorship to young people in need. Don't wait. Grab your tickets now at ucan.ca and mention Got Your Back sent you for 10% off. Who are you going with today, Struddy?
Well, we've already mentioned him, and I don't know how you can get away from him. I'm going to go with Sid Crosby because it seems like he doesn't change. He doesn't change from game to game. He's the same guy. And I love that play at the end. I know we just talked about it, but to get in that player's way, Granlund, get up and just shoot the puck in the net, like it's such a level-headed play. I know people think that's easy to do, But in that moment, when the place is rocking, the U.S. Americans are cheering against you. I love that. I just love that by Sid. And he is never endingly relentless in just everything he does. Was there another guy you would have looked at?
No, I like the choice. I think that's a pretty good one. Yeah, I think that's probably the right one, especially with the way the game ended. I think you're bang on there. The one interesting thing I'll say about Crosby's game, he doesn't play a ton of wing. And I've noticed all tournament long strides, there have been some struggles for him on the wall in his own end, making the right plays down on the hash mark there. There have probably been, 4 or 5 mistakes through 3 games down there where he either just threw it away or, didn't quite turn the play in time. And I know you believe that a winger's job is fundamentally the easiest job in all of professional sports, but that's the one area where it can get a little bit tricky for you if you're not used to it. And it has been a little bit tricky for Crosby so far. Fair?
Yeah, it is. So the reason it's hard for a center to go to wing is that a center, and I talked about a little bit earlier, they get the puck in the middle of the ice. They go left, right, or straight. When you get it on the wall, if you're a left winger, you've got to go to the right or straight up. And if a D-man's pinching down, well, now you got to go to the right. Well, guess who else is there? The other team as well. So that's what makes it hard. But there are guys that are really good at it. I think the guys are good. Sometimes if they don't have a play, they just turn their bum into that D-man and protect the puck. And then they'll tap it back to the center or tap back to the D. Like, there are ways of doing it. And I'm sure Sid is chronicling those in his mind.
Okay, that was the breakdown brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. When we come back, we'll get to previewing this matchup against the United States, and we'll hear from some of the players and the head coach from today's game. So lots ahead here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta. Stay with us.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
All right, time now for our takeaways, brought to you by Martin Motorsports. This Wednesday will be an exciting day at Martin Motorsports as Skidoo reveals their 2026 lineup. Stay tuned to see what's new for next year's Skidoo models, or if you want to hit the powder, visit Martin Motorsports. They still have 2025 sleds in stock, which you can get today at 0% financing. Yes, 0% financing. Visit them in Edmonton or online at martinmotorsports.com. Yes, they truly do have it all of the fun stuff. Okay, it will be Canada. It will be the United States. As we speak, the U.S. is finishing up its game against Sweden. Struds, the injuries are starting to mount up. Now, we might get some updates by the end of this show. So if you're listening the day after and we're a little dated in some of the most up-to-date info, we apologize. But here's what happened tonight. Austin Matthews held out of the game with upper body soreness. You've got Matthew Tkachuk sitting the game out. You had Trocheck, I believe, went down the tunnel at one point. I think he might have come back. I haven't seen yet if he's come back or not. But then you had Brady Tkachuk fall down, go kind of hip first into the side of the net, has left the game, and will not be returning. So some of this, I'm sure, precautionary. But Struds, do you treat this the same as you treat a playoff game if you're one of these guys? Do you risk anything to be in the lineup on Thursday?
Yeah, I think they will, or they will want to. Now, they're individual GMs. I'm not sure they'll be quite as passionate about those ideas. But let's run through the injuries. Austin Matthews has been dealing with something, I think, for quite a while. We saw him come out and come back in during the regular season. or previous to this tournament. So I think that they said, this game doesn't mean anything, just take it off. Trocheck looked like he hurt his hand in some way. So that might have affected the way he can take faceoffs or play the puck or whatever. Matthew Tkachuk, I'm guessing it's like a hip flexor groin situation when they showed him on the bench. That's kind of the general area he was holding on to. And even when they showed him skating around, that it looked to me like he was trying to see if he could work. So that I think is another thing where you just treat it as well as you can, and he'll want to be out there. But Brady Tkachuk, I thought it was a little higher up, Sugar. I thought it was maybe ribs, the way he kind of hit it. I think we're both on the right, on the right, like it was on his side. So whether it was, I thought maybe a little higher than hip, like 6-7 inches higher than his hip. It looked, because even when they showed he was kind of, he kind of winced like that. And that could be huge. Let's assume it's either one, hip or whatever. And it's a really bad bruise. When you're feeling bruised like that, it's hard to go hit somebody. Now you can take, some stuff to take the pain away, but it's that could be pretty significant because he's such a masher. He's been running everybody. And tonight he ran, who was it? Pedersen the neck home, within 2 seconds of, or no, it was maybe Carlson. Anyways, it doesn't matter who, but so kind of running through, I think there's two of them that are guaranteed, Matthew Tkachuk and Matthews. Brady, I think, could probably play, and they could Trocheck probably, but that they're in a game where it doesn't really matter. Two guys are getting nicked up is not ideal.
And I think, the standard to pull yourself from this game today is probably about as low as, as it would ever be, right? To just be, even if Brady Tkachuk is, they're like, how is it? And he's like, feel like I bruised it or it sort of hurt. Well, take the rest of the night off. Shut her down. Shut her down. If it feels at all even weird, just shut her right down. So I think the standards for shutting these guys down would be pretty low. Probably a lot of precautionary stuff happening. I maybe I'm completely wrong about this, Struds, but I feel like the fireworks as they existed in the last game happened. They happened for a reason. They've kind of come and gone. And I'm not expecting similar ferocity in terms of fights and guys dropping the gloves and going and this and that. I feel like they're at the end of this thing. They've had it out once already. I think they're going to play hard. I think it'll be physical. I think it'll be nasty at times and maybe some scrums and such. But I think everybody's also got an eye on getting back to their regular season here as well, maybe more so than they would have 3 or 4 days ago. So I would be surprised if we saw any pugilism in this game. You?
Yes. Well, the form it would take would be much different. I don't think it would start the same way, but I think after a massive hit, we could see something. If there's a big hit on someone, maybe there's a response. But now, this is what we all wanted. It's what we all expected. Canada, USA. And I think the players have been mentally preparing for this for months. No disrespect to Finland or Sweden. It didn't feel like their tournament to excel, especially when Markstrom didn't come for Sweden, and then he got the back end issues for Finland with their D and those injuries. So here we are. This is what they want. So I think those guys being those two teams, Canada and US, I think they're going to be mentally focused to come out. Okay, this is going to be like a chess match. I think there's going to be tight checking, not a lot of room move. And now that I think both, assuming everyone's healthy on both teams, I think it'll be very much like a chess match. Wait for someone to make a mistake. Playoff style hockey.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. There weren't a ton of chances in that game the other night. So little cycling going on in these games, Struds. So little time spent, whipping the puck down low and cycling. And I'm not sure if it's just the D are too good and keep busting it up. But it's just not really one of those games where, you're getting a lot of time in the offensive zone with the puck on your stick to create. It's just so tight, and the middle of the ice is protected so well. Though I think Canada had some breakthroughs in their game today. To your point a little bit earlier, I love McDavid just wanting to shoot that puck multiple times today where maybe, he wouldn't usually. Those are good signs, I think.
John Cooper had a great line. He said, he talked to some of his big guys and just said, I understand you want to be unselfish, but someone has to shoot the puck. And I love that. I love that message. Because no one wants to be the guy that's, appears to be selfish, and that's Canada hockey, right? We all pass it off, but someone has to shoot. At the end of the day, someone still has to shoot the puck for it to go in the net. And so I think today, I feel very comfortable with the 4 lines. I think we can feel comfortable about who will be available to play. I'd have a hard time seeing Seth Jarvis coming in. or any other lineup changes. It'll be, this is the team. And now they have 2 nights to think about it. I guess, yeah, 2, you know what I mean? And then off we go. And let's see what happens.
All right, let's hear what the principals involved are saying. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson Sound Box, brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. They're offering 10% off any new furnace installed before March 1st. Should you need to replace your furnace so you can be warmer than Brownie in his turtleneck post-game, mention you heard it on Got Your Back when you book your estimates, and you will receive 10% off your new furnace price. Visit weiss-johnson.com today. Jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Got to send a big shout out to Dennis and the crew over at Weiss Johnson Struds. We announced on yesterday's show that our new Got Your Back Struddy's World will be launching on Wednesday from 12 to 1 o'clock Mountain Time. It will be live on YouTube and on X. It will be available in podcast form as well. And our good friends over at Weiss Johnson coming on board as the new title sponsor for Got Your Back Struddy's World. So we're excited about that. And a big thanks to Dennis and Company Struds.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them to be a part of it and to get going. You know, this is, you could argue, one of the most wonderful times of the year. You know, we're coming right up here on restarting the season. The Oilers get back in practice Tuesday. We start Wednesday. We're not too far away from the trade deadline, which is always fun. That's why we'll have guys like Jamie McLennan on, Darren Drager, and then the stretch run, and then into the playoffs, right? So it's just a really good time to be firing this whole thing up. I know Zuby's excited. I mean, I have to block him a couple times. He's been texting me so much, but we're excited to do it. Yeah. And I think Zuby has a lot to offer. So everyone kind of knows him through this, but I think this will be a bigger platform for him to have his voice be heard.
Yep. And that's going to be every Wednesday, 12 to 1 o'clock Mountain Time, an hour. Got Your Back Struddy's World. All right, Steve, you were kind enough to grab some sound off of the intraweb today, post-game sound. So if you want to run us through it here back to back to back, what do we got?
Okay, so yeah, first off, just McDavid and his thoughts on the game. Brief clip from him.
Yeah, it was ugly. Ugly way to end the game for sure. Closer than we would have liked, but I thought for about, 16 minutes, 15 minutes there, I thought we did a great job just kind of, wasting time. And but it got close for sure. Big goal at the end there by Sid.
And speaking of Sid, his thoughts on just the high skill of both Finland and U.S.'s players.
We got some great skill, great talent. Guys are committed to play both sides of the puck, and we got to give ourselves a chance just by the decisions we make and being in the right position. And we did a better job of that today. And it's not something that's going to sacrifice our offense. I think we're still going to get our chances, but I think we did a good job of being aware of that. They've got some dangerous guys, and we did a pretty good job of making sure that we didn't give them a ton of looks.
And last but certainly not least, John Cooper, another great soundbite from him in his thoughts on the game today in general.
I thought we played extremely well tonight. The way we manage the puck, you get the best players in the world doing things they're probably not accustomed to, and all for the benefit of, our team winning hockey games. It was a 200-foot game. You've got McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, and all these guys dumping pucks and going and getting them, and it was the way we had to play to win this game, and we did it. And we can, whatever, you're going to dissect the game. Does it matter by how much you won? The bottom line, the goal was to play Thursday night. So, if anything, we got great video for 5-on-6 if we need it Thursday.
Yeah, there you go. You don't get time to practice everything when you're in this kind of situation. So some video to work off of. Struds, do you think that the momentum that Canada carries into this game coming off of this win over Finland, I feel like they really needed it. I feel like they really needed to feel the offense in a bit of a different way. They got some line momentum going. It just feels like they're taking some better mojo into that game with the way that they were able to win this one today. Just scoring the offensive outburst. I know they gave some up at the end, but that offensive outburst, that had to happen at some point for this team.
Yeah, you just nailed it. And it was the key guys that scored, right? McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby was involved, Reinhart was involved. Like those guys needed to feel that because, they although they've scored a bit, they got it together today in a quick order. And I get at the end, they kind of came back, but I think that for the most part, the kind of controlled that game. So they're going to think about maybe those last 5, 7, 8 minutes, whatever it was. But understand that they have it right. And I think most importantly, and you touched on it, the line combinations. It's the first time that I feel they have it right, or as good as they can be, or as good as it will be. Not to suggest it's not good, but it feels right. And you're rolling in, say, okay, these are our lines. Let's do it. Let's see how these guys handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really going to be something. And we'll have a couple of days here build up to it. Looking forward to getting out to Boston and get covering this thing again, because the last couple of days I've been out of the mix and I'm like, I was so embedded and so into it every day. And now it's 2 days of just a bunch of nothing. So looking forward to getting there tomorrow. That was Takeaways, brought to you by our good friends over at Martin Motorsports. All right, when we come back, we do not have Rob Brown, but we do have Brownie points. We also have a photo that you are not going to want to miss of Rob Brown on vacation. Struddy's World as well. We got to talk a little Edmonton Oilers. They'll be back at practice tomorrow, so our Take a Lap segment will be dedicated to a couple of burning questions when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers, and our Take a Trip segment as well as Ask Us Anything. So lots ahead here on the show. Stay with us and fire us a quick thumbs up while we're in the break. Cheers.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here, someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by Timberhouse Developments. When you become part of the Timberhouse family, you might be surprised how close you'll get to the people and the process. Most builders try to keep the customer at arm's length once the build starts. Not Timberhouse. If you want to check in on things, no problem. Stop by the job site. Want to chat with the crew at head office? Head on in and see Donnie and company. They make great coffee at the head office. You are the most important person in the home building process. Timberhouse remembers that. Check them out online at timberhouse.ca. Great group of folks working over at Timberhouse. Struddy, what do we got tonight, my friend?
Well, the Oilers are coming back to practice. So I'm guessing they'd fly in today. Some guys with a 2:00 practice might cut a little bit shorter and fly in tomorrow. Either way, they're back at it, 2:00 tomorrow. And, they have a few days here to get ready for their weekend of games. So they kind of got to get themselves up and running. So I'd expect tomorrow would be a fairly high tempo, maybe calorie burning type practice. A lot of puck touches, a lot of skating, probably some battling, just kind of get the guys back going. So you're looking at probably an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour. Some guys will go on early, some guys will stay out late. And then that'll be Tuesday. Then you have Wednesday, Thursday. And then I don't know if they practice Friday before they fly out, maybe. I'm guessing they would, maybe a little bit lighter skate. But then you start working on specific things, right? So maybe you get into whatever, some penalty kill, power play, maybe whatever he feels needs to want to touch on, the forecheck, D zone coverage, whatever it is. But there'll be after tomorrow's kind of heavier, harder skate, get everybody back on track. The next 3 days after that will be more specific areas of the game they want to touch on, because it is like a mini training camp, Shogger. And, to be ready for the next stretch, you have to make sure your body's ready, but also the details within each individual's game and the team game is ready to rumble for this stretch run.
If you were to put a percentage on it, Struds, let's say you're like right into the thick of things in the regular season and you're playing basically every second night and you're clipping, right? You're in the zone, you're healthy, your body's feeling good, but you're tired because the schedule has been busy. You absolutely just slam on the brakes like this and take a break. What percentage do you lose? Like, even if you're conscientious during the break and not just being a dummy, when you come back for that first game back, can you possibly be where you were or even a little better? Or is there always going to be a bit of flow, a bit of percentage that you've lost just by virtue of a break that long?
Well, we've shared this before, but the first practice, you feel like you didn't work out for a year. You feel like a bag of turds. And most guys will take care of themselves during the break, right? Whether they're getting treatment, doing yoga, going for runs. Like they're going to do, like I worked out every day that I was off to kind of keep it going. Now, as far as returning to game action, it's a little bit different because some players will have continued to play. And I should have mentioned that. So, Team Sweden will fly home. So Matthias Ekholm, he's going to get home. I'm guessing he wouldn't practice tomorrow or Wednesday. Probably return to action maybe Thursday or Friday because he's been busy practicing and playing. So he's up to speed. I think you're off a little bit is when you come back to your first game, but it'll take one game. But more importantly than that, Shrugger, you're rested and you feel healthy, or as healthy as you felt in months. And I remember thinking it was the greatest feeling. We come back, your back doesn't hurt, your hands not sore, the ribs that you hurt, a month and a half ago aren't feeling bad anymore. And so I think that's the real benefit you get from those moments.
Would it be an expectation that everybody would come back having managed their business and handled their business the right way? And if there was anybody who hadn't, how does that get taken care of?
Well, I'm guessing if your captain's Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon and they come back to the first game, because like Connor, I mean, Thursday night, Friday, and aren't they Saturday in Washington? No, Saturday in Philly, right? The Oilers.
Yeah.
He'll just go. He'll just stay there. He's not coming back.
Yeah, he's not coming back. No chance.
No. So he'll probably fly Friday to Philly and he'll play Saturday in Philly. But if you come back and word gets around that player X was a slob during the break and isn't ready to play, I'm pretty sure that he won't be the friendliest guy towards you. And that's a captain's job to monitor, to make sure everybody was ready. But those words would have been uttered prior to leaving. After they've said, hey guys, have a good break, but keep yourself ready because we're here. This is a business trip. I'd be floored if one Oiler didn't touch at least an elliptical over the break to do something to get themselves, moving and eating well, because they all want to win this thing. And it's going to take everybody. It's not just one guy or two guys. Everyone's got to be ready for this moment. So I feel very confident in saying that everyone will have taken care of themselves and will come back rested and ready to rumble.
An elliptical would be plenty, bud. It's an underrated aerobic exercise. Underrated with the amount of progress you can make, the number of muscle groups that you touch, and how hard a push you can get on one of those machines, Stretty. They'd be lucky if everybody did 45 minutes on the elliptical on the random setting, difficulty level 10.
Out of how many difficult levels? 24?
And 10 is pushing it. Generally, the hamstrings get a little tight the next day if I jack it up to a 10. Now, Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber Haas Developments. Oilers back on the ice tomorrow. And by the way, got your back Struddy's World on Wednesday. That's part of why that 12 to 1 o'clock slot is so good, because you'll be able to get updates from what's happening on the ice that day. So nice up-to-date updates for your lunch hour on Wednesdays. Got your back Struddy's World, ready to rock and roll. And that'll be brought to you by Weiss Johnson. Okay, let's roll the happy music, Steve-O, because it is time for us to dish out a few brownie points. Brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you're looking for a delicious way to support your team, club, or cause, Hamel's Premium Jerky offers easy and profitable fundraising opportunities. Raise funds with a high-quality product that everybody loves. Contact them today at albertajerky.com. On the Got Your Back chat group today, we got two things. Brownie sent in some brownie points that he would like us to read tonight, and he also sent in this pick. Struds, your observations.
Like, is he in the parking lot? How far away is he from the water? Like, just look, I could barely see that.
A long way out. Yeah.
Is that the pool or the ocean? I can't even tell. He's so far away. Like, why bother?
And there's no reason. It's not like it's a busy beach. It's not like it's packed. Why set up? What is that? That's got to be 80 yards from the water.
That's great. He may as well put a sandbox in your heated garage and just sit there and put a picture of the ocean on the garage door. Like, he's not even, like, why bother? Did he even touch the water? He probably didn't touch the water when he was there.
Yeah.
Or he is there.
You want to comment on the legs at all, or the choice of shorts, or anything like that? We're gonna let all that go, or how are we feeling about all that?
I mean, he's a 75-year-old man.
Love it.
Like, we're not expecting.
Yeah,
not expecting a lot of
That's
quads
true.
on that body. 75.
It's not bad
80.
actually. Little bit of definition, above the left knee there. You see a little bit of an indent there on the quad, so not bad for a senior. I would say looks decent.
Maybe that's why he couldn't make the walk all the way to the water. Right? He's not strong enough physically. Too old.
Yeah, exactly. Puffy Lover says closer to the pisser. That's why. Closer to the bathroom, I'm sure. There's an outhouse. That's not even Brownie, says JL. Yeah, JL. I believe that is Rob Brown. So Brownie having a great little vacation while the rest of us are putting in the tough miles here, Struds. He sent in these today, so we'll call them the boozy Brownie points. 10,000. Steve, what are these? Do you know how to say this?
I was going to ask you before the show.
Points?
I'm not sure. Colognes, I think.
Is that Colognes? Colones. Is that like a money type down there or something that I'm unaware of?
Let me Google it.
Actually, when I read it first, I thought it was calories. If you want to know the truth,
Colognes.
Oh yeah. It's the Costa Rican dollars. Yeah.
Okay, Costa Rican. So he's dishing out a lot of them. So the exchange must be interesting. By the way, Sweden defeating the United States here. 2-1 they held on there towards the end of the game. 10,000 Brownie points to the young Costa Rica girl that kept my margaritas coming during the Canada-USA game, especially late in the game when I needed doubles. Boom, from Brownie. Next one, 25,000 Colognes Brownie points to the bar full of Canadians that stood for both national anthems and stayed till the end to cheer on Canada versus USA. Both anthems being cheered. 87,000. Can we get an exchange, Steve? How many Canadian dollars for one Colognes? I need to know what we're dealing with here. I'm total. My reference point to how valuable this stuff is totally thrown off.
A Kelowna is 0.0028 Canadian dollars.
Oh.
Yeah, so
okay,
10,000.
So what would 87,000 be? Times that by 87,000.
87,000 is
Canada,
243 Canadian dollars, by the way.
Okay, $243 to Captain Canada, Sidney Crosby, who at 37 years of age has been the best all-around player for Canada and the leader they need on Thursday night. And a pre-19,000 Colognes to the first Team Canada player to punch Matthew Tkachuk in the face on Thursday night. Okay, Brownie.
That's only $53.
That's only $53, eh? That's all that
you got. A very big bounty.
So there you go. Yeah, Brownie points all the way from Costa Rica, where Brownie is taking a look at the water from long distance off. Those shorts look bone dry too, Struds. He has not been in the water.
I doubt he doesn't go in the water, but I can't believe it. I'd be right on that water. I love the water.
Yeah.
The ocean is my happy place. Get in there and dip in.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Steve? Before we get to break, let's talk a little bit of trade deadline, shall we? So over the last couple of months, we've been doing our Take a Trip segment, analyzing different players that are heavily rumored to be on the move during the trade deadline, doing a deep dive into them. Not necessarily all Oiler related, but just guys that we think have a good chance to be taking a trip. And it's brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Hey, if you're planning a trip, if it's a dream vacation like Brownie is on, or a quick winter escape, or a trip to watch your team play, don't forget travel insurance, and Alberta Blue Cross has your back with emergency medical care, cancellations, lost baggage, and more. Flexible, reliable, maybe even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. The website is ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Struds, who are we zeroing in on tonight to see if they might be taking a trip in the next couple of weeks.
So I've been dialing in on the Islanders, and I really think they need a reset, a very hard remake. They're 4 points out of the playoffs right now. They got to pass, I believe, 4 teams. 4 points. I think they're out. Either way, they're out of the playoffs. They got to pass 4 teams to get over the top. I've talked about Brock Nelson. He's a player that's playing right now for Team Canada or Team USA. They could trade him, get a pretty good return, and move on to a younger player. JGPG, otherwise known as Jean-Gabriel Pageau. He's another guy I think that is a player I think that should be moved on. He's a player ever since he's with Ottawa, I believe is a really good player. I really like him. Now he makes $5 million a year for the rest of this year and the next year. I think he was actually playing waivers earlier this year, I believe. He's a right shot centerman. He's creating some offense here this year. Now there have to be retention by the Islanders. There's no doubt about that. But he's a guy, the right shot. He brings energy. He gets in there. And he can play fast. He's, this year he's got 27 points in 52 games, so it's not too bad. He's above water as far as what he does 5-on-5. He's a big penalty killer. He can play some power play, but on most, playoff teams, he's probably not on the first unit. I shouldn't say probably not. He isn't on the first unit. He goes on the second unit. But I've really liked this player for a long time. Now he's getting older. So 2 things out of this, Shogger. 1, I think a team that Godwin would have to understand there needs to be retention from the Islanders. And 2, the Islanders need to shake their tree up because it's been the same group and they're not getting younger. The idea of resigning Nelson and keeping Pageau, if there's an opportunity to move both of them out, is the right thing to do. You need to get younger. You need to change things up.
So career 54-3 in the faceoff circle, which is good. This season having a really good year. He's almost 60% this season with the Islanders. That's got to put him near the top of the league for guys that regularly take draws, I would think. So you definitely like that, especially if he's a guy that can get in there and kill some penalties for you. Not overly big. And you still think the feet are okay from what you've seen?
Yeah, from what he's always been pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
But I would say he's a faster right shot Henrique, is what I see out of him.
Interesting.
And nearly the same price, right? When they got him, not now, because he was about 5'5", wasn't he?
I haven't thought of him in the same hemisphere as Henrique ever. I feel like Henrique has been a better player for longer. Like he's a bit of a watered down Henrique, wouldn't he be?
Offensively? Well, this year he's got almost 10 goals. I mean, he's probably trending towards 12, 15 goals this year, right?
Yeah.
But I think
13, 11 previous years. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a point every other game this year, right? That's pretty good. 10 goals for 2 games. So he's going to end up at 15 goals, let's say. But I've really liked this player a long time. I've liked him. But the Islanders have to move on. They have to make moves. They got to change things up there. It's stale. It's so stale. It's not working, and it's not going to work.
All right. Let's see if JG Pageau might be taking a trip. That segment brought to you by our friends at Alberta Blue Cross. All right. Still lots more to come, including we'll take a couple of laps next, and we'll talk about some burning questions that the Edmonton Oilers, that we have for the Edmonton Oilers right now. Also, ask us anything is coming up, so fire your questions in on the stream. Throw us a thumbs up if you don't mind. You've got her dialed in to Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
At HSE Core, we are dedicated to providing unparalleled safety compliance services to small and medium-sized businesses through our monthly health and safety program management, including managing contractor screening registries and core auditing services. Let HSE Core Services help you maintain a safe workplace for you and your valued employees. Visit us at hsecore.com.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Let's talk some Oilers, shall we? And take a couple of laps. Brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional looking for work in Western Canada, they do want to hear from you. One of Canada's original industrial contractors, building some of the largest multi-year industrial projects in Western Canada. You could be part of it, looking for skilled tradespeople, construction pros to join their team and start building what matters today. So fire a resume at them. trades@acon.com. If you or somebody you know is looking for work, the email address is trades@acon.com. All right, Struddy, let's chat a little bit about the Oilers. As you outlined in Struddy's world, they'll get back on the ice. They will get down to work. Obviously, they finished with their game not in the greatest shape, but their record certainly in real strong shape. A lot to feel good about from where the season started. And so now we look ahead and say, what matters now? What's important now? What are the, the tactics that Chris Knobloch is going to use to try and get more guys engaged on the other side of this break? So we have two questions. We'll start with the one you fired in because we had a couple of suggestions here. But the question you posed was, should Ty Emberson, out of this break, get a legit shot beside Darnell Nurse? It was where he was supposed to start the year. Mm-hmm. We've all seen the way it's gone. Very solid year for him. But is it time for him to get another look there? What do you think?
I've become a big fan of his, and they use him appropriately, and they've been using him appropriately. I think that where he is where he should stay. His confidence is high. He's contributing in a big way. And you want to have that third pairing sound. If you think back to last year, it was Kulak and Darnay. You want to have a similar type setup with that third pairing. So I believe he should stay where he is and not get the opportunity to play beside Darnell Nurse. Shaggy, what do you say?
Interesting. Well, I mean, obviously, as we know right now, Klingberg's getting the look. And I think you still want to give him that look before the trade deadline. You know, I do think that Emberson has shown signs he might be ready for a little bit more. And I don't think it would be rushing him. I think they've slow played it with him since the start of the season, and I see signs in him. I love the gamesmanship. I love the penalty kill ability. I love that he's been given challenges and done well with them. He's elevated his game as they've placed challenges in front of him. So part of me would be really interested to see if you place this challenge in front of this player right now, can he maybe elevate a little bit? Because you know what else solidifies your third pairing? If John Klingberg ends up in it, you've solidified your third pairing if he's ready to go. So as much as we're talking about what does John Klingberg have, how that relates to the Oilers at trade deadline, I'm also interested in Ty Emberson, to see if there's another level there that the Oilers can't unlock before decision time. Hard to do both, though, because they're already taking a look-see on Klingberg in the same way.
It is a challenge, and that I'm sure for Ty, he probably looks up and said, this really screwed me. The challenge, if Klingberg falls into or doesn't fall, becomes your third pairing defenseman, which he may well do. You've traded for someone to can play in your second pairing that is a penalty killer as well. So, because Emerson is beside Ekholm on that first unit. So you'd have to find someone to come in and to take that spot. I know there's been people talking about, what's the guy, the captain that got traded out of New York to Anaheim? Oh my God!
Sorry, Struds. I was just reading the comment there. You lost me for
the
2 seconds there.
D-man from the former captain of the Rangers.
Trouba.
Trouba. So there's been some talk I've heard of Trouba. Now maybe he would start on the penalty kill, and then your right side would be Bouchard, Trouba, and then Klingberg, because you need to have two guys that can kill on the right side.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's interesting. Emberson has just been such a good antidote to the Broberg devastation that Oilers fans had to face. They went out and they found a really good player to drop in there that's written a really good chapter this season. And I think we're going to be talking about him in the playoffs as a guy who has elevated. I don't think we're going to be talking about a guy who the game has left behind. But we still think there's a good chance another major will get dropped onto that D-core here before the deadline, to your point. So we'll see if they've got it internally, or if what they see between now and the deadline makes them believe that they got to go out and make a more significant add. Other question we had, Struds, we definitely saw an uptick in play from Jeff Skinner. And I would say an uptick in confidence from the coach in his direction, an uptick in his response, but also improved defensive play and just attention to detail that I think just got him back on the right side of things. So my question for you, would you view this break as an opportunity to come back, almost like a refresh for Jeff Skinner at the start of the year? Would you start him in the top 6 when they get back?
It's every question you ask me, I have to answer with a question. So the question is, what does the head coach want to do with the centers? Because if he wants Nuge as a center, the third line center, and then Henrique is the fourth line center, then it's automatic. He's on the wing up top.
I don't think
Skinner.
so.
You don't think they want to go the four guys? Centers
I don't think they want to do that. I think they water themselves down way too much on the wings. I think they're doing it a little bit. I don't want to say message sending, but I think they need Nugent Hopkins to get going. The best formation, the most success that took them to the promised land was Ryan Nugent Hopkins on Connor McDavid's wing. I think that's where he belongs on this team. I think that's where he's going to land. I think it'll be McDavid, Draisaitl, Henrique down the middle. I believe that's what they should do. And everything else has been pushing buttons, in my opinion, this other stuff that we've seen lately, as opposed to like legit experimenting because that's where they want it to land when it really matters. That's my gut on that.
So if that's the case, it takes away a spot for Skinner, right, to play on that in that top 6. The first line then is locked in. The second line is not as clear. Is it Skinner, Leon, and Arvidsson, I guess? That's what it was supposed to be when we started the year. So maybe that's it again. I guess that would have to be it then, really. I mean, Paul Cole's in. Maybe he gets another opportunity there, or maybe Skinner's on his off wing.
Yep. I would give Skinner a look at the top 6 out of this break again. I would. I don't think there's anybody that's like just absolutely smashed their way through the door that is coming back feeling like that spot belongs to them. I think give him a reset. He's a little more comfortable now than he was at the start of the year. He's had some good games. He's looked good. I think just give him a reset. So I actually would start him in there. I'd put Nugent Hopkins back with Connor McDavid, and I would have Zach Hyman up there. Now at the end, they did have some looks with Arvidsson up there a little bit too, right, with McDavid, and then they moved Hyman around a little bit here and there, but I'd go back to McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman, and then I would go Skinner, Draisaitl, and then probably Arvidsson, I would think, over on that other side, and just see how that looks coming out of this break.
Well, that was the dream. July 2nd, that was the dream that everyone, envisioned, and it makes sense. Now, it's because then your third line becomes fairly robust. Henrique with
Podkolzin
and Brown, I guess.
Janmark or Brown or even Kapanen in there has been good.
So there's quite a bit. There's quite a few things there. But it's funny, then it kind of goes back to the first. If Klingberg, you decide he is a fit in that second spot, they're trading for someone further down the lineup for a D-man. You can now maybe add a middle 6 forward, right? Because you have those assets. So you're not. It's kind of crazy how everything we talk about rotates back to Klingberg and the player beside Darnell Nurse. To me, it all starts there and ends there.
Well, deadline needs, right? And then how much does it throw a wrench into it if you're like, oh, let's drop a goalie in there? Yeah. It throws such a wrench in other things that you're wanting to do. So in all this conversation about the goaltending, it's like, how much of an improvement in net potentially is worth it if you have to stand pat in a couple of areas that really need improvement over here? So it's like, you can make the argument that there's a need over here maybe, but if it means you can't do this is where the GMs make their money, right? Figuring out what the priorities are. It's why I think they're most apt to stand pat with Skinner, because there's too much else that they need to do to improve this lineup to get themselves where they want to go. And Skinner, again, has shown he can do it. So really interesting decisions for Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson and the Oilers Brain Trust as we hurtle towards trade deadline. That was our Taking a Lap segment, brought to you by our good friends over at Acon. Folks in the stream, throw us a thumbs up. Steve had your back tonight. Said during the break, we got some great questions ready to rock and roll for Ask Us Anything. Love hearing that. It's brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. Interest rates moving. So make this the ideal time to consolidate your high-interest loans and credit card debt. Refinance your mortgage. You can combine those debts into one manageable payment at a lower rate, helping you pay off your debt faster and keeping more money in your pocket. Maria Gallus and Mortgages by Maria will help you sort all this out. Refinancing your mortgage can help you achieve financial freedom. She does a great job for Randy and I. Highly recommend you call Maria Gallus. All right, Steve-O, how are we doing tonight, buddy? How's the stream? People are feeling it, excited about the matchup Thursday?
Yeah, it's generally a very positive stream. People are excited. They're in a good mood. Just happy to see it all happening. It's been fun. First question we're going to bring in from CK.
By the way, Steve, it was a landslide. Sorry to interrupt. It was a landslide on the poll, right? I see 71% were saying Binnington, so people kind of understanding that's probably the way they're going to go there. 71%?
71%, only 26 for Aiden Hill, and we still have our 4% for Montembeault.
4% for Montembeault tonight. All right, we got a few more Hab fans on the stream tonight. All right, buddy, get to the questions, pal.
Okay, so CK Pun simply says, this tournament shows which players probably won't be at the Olympics, and Obelisk said, more specifically, is Marner playing himself out of Olympic consideration?
That's a great question, Struds. I would have to think no. His offensive ability is too significant for them to leave him off. But remember, the rosters are going to be bigger at the Olympics. But is he playing himself out of an automatic to be in the top? 100%, Struds. I would say this has been a little eye-opening and further proof of what we've seen from Marner in the playoffs at times. Is that being too hard on him?
Yeah. You know what? I think that this is really sounding bad, but I think that his play in this has opened my eyes to what maybe I didn't see as much in the playoffs for Mitch Marner. You got to go get pucks. You got to be heavy on pucks. You got to back check hard. And I don't think he's embracing that as much as, maybe he could. Now, again, today I saw a really good back check from him. But in these short tournaments, you need to have that from everybody. Everyone has to be able to do every job. So as I was watching today, I'm thinking, can Mark Scheifele with a bigger body do better than what Marner's bringing today in a different role? So he's on the third line today. So would Scheifele be better there or Marner? And I was kind of going, I'm like, well, he's probably better defensively. It's kind of hard to, he's bigger body. All right. Just as fast, that's kind of how I feel. So I think that the conversation has been open for other people to wheel in on his spot.
And I think that based on what he's given them now, look, he scored a beautiful goal in the opener.
Yeah.
And that point that he got for them ended up being huge, huge, that goal he scored. So, we need to give him credit for having found a massive offensive moment. And that matters huge. Not many guys would have been able to score from there. And it was a beautiful goal. So we have to remember that. But at the same time, there's been a lot that's happened since then, and it's been pretty quiet. And I think Hyman probably would have found a better way to impact the games since then than Marner. And Hyman's not getting shoved out of any games physically. So you can make the argument even he would be a better fit from what we've seen the last couple of games. Steve?
Yeah, okay, so Paulie says there's some talk on the stream about sort of what to expect on Thursday's game in terms of intensity. I thought Paulie had a good sort of a comparison. He said, I expect a Game 7 first round of the playoffs effort from both sides, not Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals type effort. They're still conscious about getting back to their clubs for the playoff push, and that matters more, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
It's not an at all costs night, Struds. It's at a lot of cost, but not at all costs, right? These guys will be conscientious of what they're about to head back to, and there will be limits to how hard they're willing to push themselves in my eyes.
So what is that limit on? Shot blocking? Take and hit to make a play?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
I don't know so much, Struds, that it'll show itself during the flow of play. But I mean, when things happen, what guys are willing to push through, right? Like Matthew Tkachuk's a great example the other night. Shut himself down. Went and shut himself down in that game, right? He would have never done that. Matthew Tkachuk has played through some insane injuries in his career in the playoffs. That extra level isn't going to be there to me.
Yeah, so we're talking post-injury, but I think pre-injury, I think the guys are going to bring it. I think they're going to come.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to bring it, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Hell of a game.
Yeah.
Dawson Nielsen has a fun question. He says, "Who does Canada miss the most at each position from previous World Cups or Olympics?" So, in his opinion, the goalie is Carey Price, the D is Shea Weber, and the forward is Patrice Bergeron. Who do you guys have? What do you think, Struds?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put Scott Niedermayer or Pronger ahead of Shea Weber. Kind of they all are together. Patrice Bergeron and Carey Price, to me, those are locks. It depends how far back we're going, but people that these guys would have played with in those situations, I think those are the two I would lock in. But I would take Pronger or Scott Niedermayer over Shea Weber.
Yeah, on this particular team, I probably would take Pronger ahead of Niedermayer just because they already have Cale Makar. So I feel like Pronger would be, that size and that physicality, and Makar moves in similar fashion to what Niedermayer did back in his day. So I know it's family for you, but I might give a little bit of the edge there. Jerome McGinley, too, would be a heck of a good player on this team. Dig some pucks out for some of these skilled centers, Struddy.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Because if
natural winger. Loves the corners. Competitive. He just dropped the mitts the other night.
He would have been giving himself the tap to get out there for sure. No, but I guess I'm looking at center or wingers. So I guess if he was a winger, I bet he'd be beside Connor. It might be Connor, Point, and Stone. I'm guessing. But Patrice Bergeron, man, like that guy was elite
Swiss Army
smart center. Like so smart. So there's three centers would be Connor, McKinnon, and Patrice Bergeron. I think I love Iggy. Trust me. I would, but to get those three centers, I think I would have to tell my buddy, sorry, man.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to do.
Sit this one out.
Hold the goal. But
But
I would love to see Iginla beside McDavid for sure. Tough call, man. That's a tough call. And even the Niedermayer Pronger one, like, listen, you don't think you'd like to have McKinnon or Niedermayer or Makar on the ice for 50 minutes of the game? I'm pretty sure I'd take that skating ability to move the puck out of the zone. Like, just think how much difference Makar made to the game for Canada when he was in, or as opposed to out of the lineup. Skating's huge.
We got a lot of calls for Carey Price, given the weakness in goaltending on this team. A lot of calls for that goaltending for sure. If you were to have to pick one position, we got a call from Paulie for Steve Larmer. Whoa,
let's go.
Pulling that name out of the past.
You got to stay. I think
Richards.
You have to play people that those guys would have played with, like those three specific players. Otherwise, like I'm going back to Mario Lemieux. Like you're taking
Gretzky.
Yeah, like it's pretty. So we're getting so far back. You got to have it somewhat.
That was a fun question. Fun question. Let's not get bogged down in the details.
Yeah. I was just trying to have some fun. Okay. KD says Arvidsson has looked better on Sweden than he has the whole year on the Oilers, in his opinion. It's a good sign. What do you guys think from Arvidsson in this tournament?
He's been okay. Like, he's been energetic and skated hard, and I think he had an assist. He's been fine. I think it's good that he got to play in this tournament. I think he needs opportunities to find different parts of his game, put him into these different situations. I think is good. He was a fourth line player for the most part on this team, so I think he was fine in this tournament, Struds.
Yeah, Ekholm and Arvidsson weren't supposed to play in their final game, but I wonder, and I've not confirmed this, but I wonder if it wasn't as much like, hey guys, you guys have played this before. We're gonna put some different guys in. Some like I think for Ekholm's gonna be Rasmus Andersson, and then for Arvidsson, it was going to be the Leo Carlson, the young player, and say, you guys are playing this. We're going to give these younger guys a chance to play. I don't want to think it was a punishment for the way they played or didn't play.
No, I wouldn't get that sense at all. Steve, let's do 2 more, buddy, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, Machine Gun Yanmark says, ask us anything. Have you noticed McDavid's leadership at the tournament? It's been noticeable to me that he's leading the pack and the players are following him. What have you guys noticed?
So I have noticed that Connor McDavid has been the exact same Connor McDavid at practice that he is in Edmonton. Really hasn't changed a thing. He goes out there, he works hard. He's one of the hardest working guys in all of the drills. His attention to detail is there. He has a chat with his line mates. I think he is there and just being exactly who he is. And then he's leading by finding moments in games and just bringing great energy in games. So he looks very similar to me here than he does back in Edmonton. Now, granted, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't see. But to me, I've been looking for it, and he looks very similar.
Yeah, and you're on the ground, so you see it. From a distance, I feel like it's Sidney Crosby. Like, they showed it today when Sid went through the line after that goal. Like, everyone was like, Connor pointed at him, said, hey, great play, Sid. I think, can you sign my card after? Like, it's just, I think it's all about Sidney Crosby. And maybe it's because I really admire the guy. Not that I don't admire others on the team, but I think it's all about Sid.
Okay, let's finish it off with Paulie, sort of a fun one, I guess. He said, it was so cold today, I started the truck and left my fob in there, and it locked the doors when auto shut came on. I swallowed the $80 tow truck locksmith.
Oh.
What's your worst locked out story?
Brutal. Worst locked out story. I've had some bad ones over the years. I'm really absent-minded at times, so just some really inconvenient ones. Nothing's popping into my head, but I know for a fact I've done it on road trips too, where I've been away from home and it's been a huge pain in the arse. I can't recall anything too devastating. Struds, you?
Yeah, I went over to play in Sweden. I was parked underneath at the mall in Stockholm. I gave my keys to my infant son, put him in their car seats, closed the door, and he pressed the lock button. So my 2 infant children were locked inside a small car. We had to call the police. The police came. They didn't really understand what I was going. Once they understand what they did, they broke one window. But then we realized we couldn't reach the lock through that window. So we had to break a second window. And my wife is bawling. The 2 kids are screaming. I'm like, nothing to see here. I got just nothing to look at. Everything's calm. So we get the kids out. My wife was not happy with me at this time. It's an hour drive back from where we were. We get a cab. We lock them in, and they go home in the cab. Then I'm driving down like planes, trains, and automobiles with 2 broken windows. And it's like winter time. I'm freezing my ass. I have the heat on full blast, listening to ABBA the whole way back. Then the worst part, I had to call my GM and explain what happened. And he's like, I signed you? I'm like, yes, you did sign me. And so I had to take the car the next day, explain to the car dealership what happened. They thought I was a complete idiot, and I had to pay for it. It's about $2,000. So lesson learned. That's as bad as they can get.
That's fantastic.
Okay. Why would you park a car and hand your keys to an infant child?
No, we parked it. We went for we had a beautiful afternoon, actually. Then on the way back, I just let him have them. And I didn't even really think about it. I was walking back with him. He was in a what those things called? Like a car seat. I was carrying the 2 car seats. And then he had it. And I just put him in, and click, as soon as I got him in, he locked it. And it was really it unfolded really quite badly.
And quickly. I imagine. So you gave your keys, the most important thing on your person that day, for him to play with?
Well, I'd say at best, they were probably the 3rd most important thing. 4th, if you count my wife, right? The 2 kids and my wife, and then them. And trust me, I had this whole talk with my wife, and the ride home for an hour.
Play with the keys?
Well, I didn't think he had the dexterity, right? I didn't think he had the dexterity yet on his thumbs to start tapping it, right?
What about just losing them? What about?
Well, we were pretty much in the home. No, we were. I could see the car when I gave them to him, right? And it was more because I had 2 car seats. I was carrying 2 car seats. Dad of the year. Yeah. Yes, you can all agree on that.
This, Steve, this feels to me like another episode of Shona's World, her side of the story on this whole thing and what she actually thought about this whole thing.
That was just an awesome story. I'm glad Paulie asked that question because you never know what you're going to get. But good one.
Matt Blom says Struddy is acting like this is weirdly normal. Yeah.
No, I would have
story since taking Jagger girlfriend with your wife for a night on the town. Hello.
Yeah, it was crazy. When the policeman broke 2 windows. That's when I started feeling like a bit of an idiot. The first window, I'm like, it's not so bad. Then I was putting my arm in. It was like a little window in the back. You get my arm in there. And
you know when it should have started? It should have started when you were on the phone, like pulling out your phone, realizing I got to call the cops because I gave my kid the keys and he locked himself in. That's when that overwhelming feeling of I might be an idiot should have kicked in.
To be fair, we didn't really have to call the cops because my wife got quite upset. And so one of the security guards came over and then he got on his radio and he brought in the cops. Who wasn't a genius? Like, who breaks the wrong window?
All right. Ask us anything, uncovering yet another Struddy gem brought to you by Maria Gallus. Mortgages by Maria. All right, let's wrap up our play of the day. You all know what this is going to be, without question. It's brought to you by Gallery Dental. Take the first step towards a stress-free dental experience, providing modern dentistry for today's patient with some of the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation, implants, and so much more. Contact Gallery Dental, YEG.com. As we roll the music, feast your eyes, folks, on the stems of one Robbie Brown on a beach in Costa Rica, sending his friends, including my wife, on that chat group, by the way, making it even more offside, sending us this picture from Costa Rica, Struddy.
If we had the picture behind him, I bet you he's basically on the grass.
He's just leaning on
like
leaning on the car.
What
bathroom.
You
know what? I will say in Brownie's defense, if you look at that right calf, that's clearly wet. That leg hair is stuck.
So he has been in the water.
He's been in the water. We can put that to bed.
Either that or he spilled that Imperial on himself.
Maybe
we're hoping to have Brownie back here sooner rather than later. So we're going to just kind of keep an eye on our socials for our podcast schedule. It depends a lot on my travel schedule, and it's kind of all over the place right now. Probably, we got Struddy's World coming up Wednesday at 12 to 1 o'clock Mountain Time, so we look forward to that. We might still drop one more Got Your Back here before the final between Canada and the United States. So keep an eye on our socials and we'll keep you updated. Struddy, have a good night, my friend. Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow, buddy. Keep 2 hands on the wheel.
Thanks, pal. Yeah. No, it's not me. It's a car service. Chris Johnston and I from The Athletic and TSN will be feet up in the back, be watching shows on the iPad, relaxing. I think we've made a good decision here, and I'm not jinxing myself at all, Steve. Not at all.
No, I think it is a good call, Shogger. We hope you very safe travels tomorrow.
All right, pal. We'll talk to you soon from Boston. Thanks to all of you for joining us tonight on the live stream, or if you've downloaded us in podcast form. We really appreciate your support. Drop us a review over on iTunes if you don't mind. If it's a good one, that helps us out. If it's not, well, maybe we have it coming, but we appreciate your honesty. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Play Alberta, our title sponsor, and we'll talk again real soon. Cheers.